The Roman Catholic paradigm of existence as we exist in this physical world in a human body. When we die, the body turns to ashes, the soul is either rewarded with heaven or punished with hell depending on what the human did or did not do while alive. Correct me if my understanding is wrong. I have watched over 35 videos about people who have NDEs and out-of-the-body experiences. The majority came from Christian backgrounds, a few were ex-nuns, monks and priests. None talked about the existence of heaven or hell. Maybe that's the reason. Christian enlightenment is very different from what Buddhists call enlightenment, the opposite in fact. While both see life as a vale of tears, enlightened Buddhists say life is best lived with minimal involvement while enlightened Christians say life is to be celebrated. If you are a Buddhist you will therefore likely see Christians as being in denial and not there yet in terms of enlightenment. Predictably, enlightened Christians see Buddhists as not there yet as well. Since both are enlightened as to the central fact that life is difficult, their apparent divergence is not strictly speaking about enlightenment but rather how to live after enlightenment. We are all part of a grand experiment called social media. It has us addicted to more information about ideological positions we already care about. It serves to increase confirmation bias as well as ideologically distance us from our common human beings. Not to mention, the most link-baity and controversial content rises to the top because it receives the most interaction. Culture has a spiritual mission, it is to tell you that you are one or more of the following. 1. The center of the universe, which advertising, music, and movies do quite well by the way. And that your pleasure and happiness are the most important thing, turning relativism, domination, and violence into an inevitability. 2. Basically an animal with no real or meaningful distinguishing feature. 3. Nothing special in the vast scheme of things. Humans are just atoms and/or dust. Have you experienced any of the above? I would suggest that we all have experienced all three of the above, and that we do so on a weekly basis in modern Western culture. They both individually and collectively are deadly and dehumanizing and poison both our own understandings of the self and others. Not to mention, social media perpetuates this process by making us the center of our own universes, with meaning and purpose in social media being shaped by pretty pictures and likes. The social media feeds which serve to replicate what the individual wants to hear and see ensure that you stay locked in your ideological echo chamber with only slight adjustments from new articles along the way. Finally, I would point out that Paul said that humans will always have the thorn in the flesh, which is to say sin isn't going away. That isn't to say that decreasing sin in your life isn't important, but that it will take something transformational to do so. Linear changes are likely going to be insufficient. Moreover, the struggle between good and evil is ongoing. This is also the reason why the church is a hospital for sinners. So it's not surprising we have imperfect humans who are Christians. That said, the definition of what is Christian is grounded in Jesus Christ. Being Christ-like and following Christ is what it means to genuinely have actions that can properly and objectively be called Christian. Everything else is selfishness. Because spirit enlightenment is complete and utter bullshit, there is nothing to be enlightened about. Churches are simply buildings that the already indoctrinated go to for their regular sessions of self-hypnosis and reinforcement of the self-delusion. This is self-evident because once someone stops going for a few weeks they claim to be losing their faith, when what is actually happening is that the hyper-focus is wearing off, reality is creeping in and they begin to realize that they are not actually missing anything. If they did do that then they would lose all power, influence over the simple-minded humans of this earth. God was made up by African tribes so many centuries ago that we don't know when. God was meant to be something to strive for, to be like, not some invisible old man in the sky with a beard. Churches do not want you to know about you divine power inside each human body. Our soul's energy that animates this body is a fractal piece of the Divine Father, Divine Mother. They do not want you to know that after the body dies there is no heaven or hell. Heaven and hell are just mental images put forth by the church to control the people for their bidding and wars. More people have died in the name of some religion gods than anything in this world. They ask you to and they need you to donate money, time for their service, and if you don't do what they want then you're beneath them, a lower life form in the eyes of their religion. They cannot teach the way, because they don't know the way themselves. There are many humans of all faiths that have figured it out on their own. It doesn't matter who or where you come from. The greatest gasp of it all is that everyone is already enlightened, but humans don't know it. They get trapped in the game of life from the start, with being born into a family with a name and more than likely a religion to boot. You spend the rest of your life defending something that you aren't.